Hi everyone, thank you for joining me. This is Living Divinity. So I pulled out a couple extra different decks I have laying around. But first I want to start off with reading out of the Bible. Okay, so it's going to be Psalms 4. Answer me when I call to you. O my righteous God, give me relief from my distress. Be merciful to me and hear my prayer. How long, O men, will you turn my glory into shame? How long will you love delusions and seek false gods? Know that the Lord has set apart the godly for himself. The Lord will hear when I call to him. In your anger do not sin. When you are on your beds, search your hearts and be silent. Offer right sacrifices and trust in the Lord. Many are asking, who can show us any good? Let the light of your face shine upon us, O Lord. You have filled my heart with greater joy than when their grain and new wine abound. I will lie down and sleep in peace. For you alone, O Lord, make me dwell in safety. So if you've watched any of my previous videos, I mentioned that my grandmother had a little loaf of bread, but it wasn't actually bread. The container looked like a loaf of bread, but it was open on the top and it had all these little cards. So as a kid, she would make us sit down on the floor in front of her, and she was just a little crippled lady with a lot of power. And she would tell us to pull a card out and read it, and then she would ask us, what do we think about the card? So regarding Psalms 4, I think God's telling you to lay down at night and be peaceful. Be ready for his call, and you can call to him. I believe that it's saying that you have to offer right sacrifices. Right sacrifices would be if you're a drinker or a smoker or adulteress or a bank robber or living the life of this world. You have to sacrifice that for God to hear you more, I guess. Everyone's going to have their own interpretation again. Each scripture, my grandmother had said she's read the Bible like 3 times from front to back. And every time she comes to certain passages, she'll think about what it meant to her the last time. And the next time she reads it, it'll mean something totally different. So you can take however you feel is right for you with the scriptures, and gives you something to work on, right? Okay, so I really like the Psychic Tarot, so I pulled out just one card and pulled the back. Pulled what was on the bottom. So the top card I got was the crown chakra. Let's see if you can see it. Oh, you can see my hand there. Crown chakra, it's a number 7. So it says, the color is violet, the sound is nun or om, can be used. The element is a thought. The gland is pineal. Keywords is I know. The crown chakra is located at the top of the head and has been called the 1,000-petaled lotus, or the receiver of light. This chakra is the center of your link with the universe, the infinite, and your higher consciousness. It's the connection between wisdom and spiritual insight. The crown center is the area where ethereal light and energy are received and then dispersed throughout your aura for total well-being. To balance this chakra, I find that meditation, breath work, yoga, spiritual healing, acupuncture, and color therapy work best. When properly aligned, your crown chakra will expand to a point where it's impossible to access or tap into the deepest sources of wisdom. So if you want to know more about the crown chakra, you could just Google it and get more information from it. All the chakras I'm still learning, so it's also interesting to me. So the bottom of the deck was this card, and it's balance. So balance is a major arcana. So it says this card represents the need for balance and harmony with your inner life, as well as with what's surrounding you in the physical world. This denotes that some lifestyle adjustments are required at this time. It could be associated with love, relationships, business, or even your career. The balance card is also being shown to you to make you realize that what you perceive to be happening around you is really an externalization of an inner process or conflict that you may be currently experiencing. This card will often appear if you work in the legal field or when you're involved in law-related matters. Have faith that justice will triumph, as justice and karma go hand in hand. Take only what you've earned, treat people fairly, and don't take advantage of anyone. This is all part of living a balanced karmic life. When determining something, there must be a state of balance, emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually, so that you can make rational decisions and logical judgments. This is a time to be honest and caring and responsible for the choices that you've made as well as the ones that will be made in the future. Okay, so the next one I have is from Messages from the Mermaids. So this card I pulled, show it to you. See, you got my hand again. It's the Abundance card. So, abundance. This mermaid is sharing her abundance with you. The treasure you see is symbolic of the treasures awaiting you in their many forms. These could be material or spiritual. The key to receiving abundance is to be grateful for what you already have. It's also about knowing your self-worth, as this affects how swiftly abundance will flow to you. Do you believe that you deserve to receive? Answer honestly. If any limiting thoughts come to you, write them down without judgment and see if there's anything you can do on a practical level to shift any blocks, spiritually or physically. It's fine for you to ask for what you need, but always set your intentions as this or something better. That way, you're leaving room for the universe to manifest without limitations. Are you being asked to provide abundance for someone else? Is there a person or are there people around you who could do with a helping hand in the attainment of abundance? Perhaps you could use your spiritual and or physical treasures to help others see ways to enhance their ability to receive abundance in their lives. Do you let money go through your fingers? Does it burn a hole in your metaphorical pocket or your mermaid's purse? Protect your finances by putting away some savings for a rainy day. Whatever your life circumstances, the energy of abundance is all around you. So prepare yourself for whichever form the flow of abundance will take and be ready to receive. Okay, so now I have this here. Let's see. The Divine Feather Messenger. And the card I pulled was the Goose. It says, your dreams and desires are calling you to action. The journey begins today. So let me read out of the book real quick for you. Goose has long been represented in mythology, folklore, and fairy tale stories, signifying ideas, expression, and the power of the quest. The goose that laid the golden egg is a classic storyline about seeking and fulfillment. The goose feather has long been used as a standard writing instrument and represents communication and creativity. The migration patterns of geese might inspire your own journey of fulfillment by expanding to other worlds and experiences. The message. The goose messenger has arrived to awaken you. All of these unfulfilled dreams and desires are stirring new energy within you and urging you to set out on a great quest. Now is the time to reflect on your deeper desires and what brings you a sense of joy. Then, with the great movement of goose, pursue it swiftly. Does it seem impossible? This is no longer the case. The journey awaits you with open arms. So the energies of the goose is travel, communication, fulfillment. The season is spring or fall. The elements is earth, water, and air. The color is white, black, gray, and brown. And your affirmation, I now embark on my true quest and open my heart to fulfillment. And then the last was out of the Tattoo Tarot. And I pulled the Seven of Swords, the Eight of Cups, the Ten of Wands, and the bottom was the Nine of Cups. So these are significant because when you have them laid out in front of you, you do have a 7, 8, 9, 10. So that would mean a completion of wherever you're at now. After the 10, it begins with the 1, and it's like the new beginning. Anytime you have a 1, it's a new beginning usually. Okay, so let's start out with the Seven of Swords. Cunning, skillfulness, and determination that needs to be used for the right purposes. Considering escape from an imprisonment situation. Manipulation that tends to backfire. Watch your back. Change of heart. Treachery. So if it's used in the right purpose, then you already have the skill, but you must use it in the right purpose. If you're using it in the wrong purpose, as in manipulation, it's going to backfire. Now, you can go years and use this in the negative way, and you'll have people around you saying, when is that person going to get their due karma? Why is this person allowed to keep doing that? It's, if you refer it to a bank, like I've mentioned before, when you do good deeds, the bank in heaven is getting filled. Well, the manipulation that tends to backfire would be, that bank is still there, but you're pulling out of it. You're pulling out of it, so it becomes empty. Now, it doesn't have to be empty before God calls judgment on you, but you're still taken away from what you could be having. You're focusing on other people's situation, instead of looking at yourself. You need to work on yourself. So this is like a life lesson that hopefully whoever's doing this will have learned, or will learn in the near future, that you can't go around abuse of power. You can't go around and be a gossiper and try to sway people. You can't do any of these types of manipulation. You could be in a relationship and maybe your wife's saying she's leaving you. You can't say, oh, well, I need you to stay for this, that, and the other, which has nothing to do with fixing the relationship. It's like a guilt trip to make her stay, or vice versa for a man. Okay, so the Seven of Swords it's got its own good and bad in it. So let me just move on. Okay, the Eight of Cups, limited success, modesty, decline, abandoned plans, letting go, moving on. Something loses charge or significance. Recognizing an impossible situation, seeking new pastures. So that, even though Eight of Cups are cups, it's referring to the Seven of Swords, if you can understand that. Okay, Nine of Cups, success and abundance, well-being, contentment, happy, secure future, wholeness, wisdom earned, spiritual fulfillment, trophies, rewards, achievement. Now, the 9 was at the bottom of the stack. So, after going through the 7 and the 8, the 9's a good feeling. But let's see what the 10 of Wands is saying. Success and honors, but at a price, fulfilling obligations while oppressed by their weight. Striving towards deadlines, climbing a precarious ladder, needing to reduce pressure. Okay, so if we put it in order, the 7 is having a skill and someone's using it as manipulation, which is pushing someone who was probably really into this situationship, relationship, whatever it was, They're becoming disinterested. It's not what they thought it was. The Ten of Wands is getting the success to try to get to that Nine of Cups. The Ten of Wands is success and honors, but at a price. So his price or her price was dealing with the Seven of Swords and realizing that it's going nowhere after a long period of time. So a long period of time could be 3 years, it could be 10 years, it could be 12 years. However long it took this person to learn the lesson. And so the Ten of Wands is saying it came at a price, but now he or she is seeing success after walking away on the Eight of Cups. So the Nine of Cups is success and wealth. So I'm sure everybody has either gone through it or currently going through it, or it might be something in the future. If it's not for you, then that's okay. You might know someone who's going through that, and you might want to share my video with them, and maybe it'll help them come along. So real quick, I'm just going to grab 2 out of my handwritten cards because they're calling to me. And I have a arthritic thumb, so that's why I don't do it. That's why I pre-do it before, because we'll be here forever trying to get the cards to come out. Alright, so I just kind of spread them out and not looking at them. I'll pull 2 cards. Okay. So the first card I got was for a day, a season, or a lifetime. People will go into and out of your life. The back part says, put to rest the negative chit-chat by your own actions. In other words, you can't stop people from gossiping or telling lies, but if you know they're telling lies, you're going to have to stand up and say, that's not true what you're saying about that person, or that's not true how it happened. This is how I recollect it. Okay, so the other side, for a day and all, for a day, a season, or a lifetime. That's pretty self-explanatory. So the second card I got was pray for better. You know, we always want to be thankful, first of all, for what we have. We always want to be thankful for our past experiences, good, bad, or indifferent. It's kind of like, I was speaking to my daughter, and well, she was saying, why did I stay with my second husband for so long? And that she didn't like the way he treated me. And, you know, she couldn't articulate that. She was not really mature yet, but she can see perfectly straight. And I explained to her, well, you know, the same reason I stayed with your dad for all those years. I tried so hard to make it work. I tried really hard to make things work. I naturally did too much, and that's something that, you know, growing up, well, there was 9 kids in the family. My one sister, she lived with my grandparents, so if we deduct her, then there's still 8. And as I was coming out of diapers, my oldest brother moved out, so that became 7. And so Mom couldn't do all the work. She couldn't do all the laundry. the cooking, the cleaning. You know, it was just too much for her. Plus, I had 2 sisters after me. Mona Denise died in 64, January or February 64, and I was born in 62. And that was my first funeral I ever went to, and I remember it. And I was saddened by it. But moving forward, my mom had a baby stillborn in 67, and Mom wanted to name her Janet. So I was 5 years old, and Mom was cooking in the kitchen, and, you know, being a little 5-year-old, and you see your mom stirring something in the pot, but crying silently, but you could hear her little cries. And, you know, even being at 5, I remember my grandma saying, most people discard a baby that's not born yet. That's a miscarriage. She said, but we're not going to do that. So I'm sure my grandma and grandpa paid for the burial and all that. But that was a sad time. Because you see your mom crying, and how do you make her feel good? How do you go to her and talk to her? Even back then, I was very sensitive to other people. And being too sensitive to other people, and like seeing my mom like that, I just feel like I did anything that any of my siblings asked me to. Of course, I was only 5. I could only dust so good, you know, but we all had chores to do. And doing chores is good, even at that young of an age. And when I lived with my oldest sister, I had a lot of chores. So I naturally did all that. You know, I helped her take care of her baby. You know, we did laundry on Saturdays. You know, there was house chores to do every day, dishes to do after dinner. So I naturally was groomed to do all those things. And I went to school too, and I was a straight A student my freshman and sophomore year when I lived with her. But praying for better. We have to be thankful for what we have. Anything in our past, we can't say, oh, well, you know, I tell my daughter, oh, well, you know, if I saw the red signs, the red flags, and I walked away from him, you would never be born. So how could I ever say, I'm sorry I had those years with your dad, you know, and same with your stepdad, you know. I don't look back and say, I mean, I guess at the time of the divorce, I was, you know, very angry because I wanted it to go a certain way, and it wasn't going right. And to give up, I just can't give up. But I had to in both cases. But I'm saying pray for better, because everybody needs to make themselves better. Everybody needs to work on themselves and have the ability, the knowledge, the time to work on themselves, so they can grow up healthy and they can make good decisions. And the thing is every parent wants their child to do better than what they did, you know, whatever the circumstance was. And it's every parent's dream, in my opinion, to see your child go to college, to see your child succeed in life. You know, so to pray for the better is a great thing to do, because God does hear the prayers. But first and always, you have to put God in the forefront. First, you always have to thank God for everything you have. And that's all part of healing yourself. That's all part of your spirit reconnecting with the universe, reconnecting with God Almighty, you know? So I hope you understood what I was trying to get across to you. Okay, so the back of the card says, I suppose some secrets are better left unsaid. However, some are truth seekers. I meant some people are truth seekers. So for me, I already know, I've learned through time, through these past few years of having been divorced since 2019, that I've had all this time to get my spiritual healing. So to be a truth seeker, not only does it help you understand patterns in family dynamics, but it also, when you speak about it, it's part of the healing process. So for me to speak about something that bad that happened and that person's still alive, for me to speak about that and for him to hear it, you know, he has the opportunity to reach out to me and say, hey, you know, I'm sorry this happened between us. I still want you in my life. You know, so that situation is, that I'm speaking of is my brother Kenny. And we were so close growing up. When he left his first wife, I was on the East Coast and so was he. So he came and stayed with me and my first husband for a few months. Then he got his own apartment and you know, my first husband was jealous of me wanting to be near my brother, you know. He didn't want us to get close, but somehow, most of the time, whenever I wanted to go there, he went with me to hang out with my brother. But so there came a time when my brother said, I'm going back to California. And, you know, I think that was my first door open to go, but I chose to stay. And at that point, me and Ed moved to Delaware, but it was good to spend some years with my brother because with us only being a year and a few days apart, we were together up until junior high, and then we were split up because when my mom died and my dad didn't take good care of us, we had to go live with siblings. So he actually stayed with my cousins and went to high school. And I stayed with my oldest sister, but then my oldest brother came and got him, and he got to experience San Francisco, and he got to finish all of his schooling up there, is what I understand. But I went into the service, then he went into the service. But I went into the Navy, and he went into the Army. So we never crossed paths until he was leaving his first wife. So we got to spend about 6 months, maybe a year. So when he got into some trouble and he needed money, I was blessed to have gotten 5 digits from a company I worked for, and it was over $50,000. And he must have got word from one of my sisters, because I only told one, and then he called me and he said, remember when we used to party? He's like, now my teeth are crumbling and I don't have enough. So I told him, how much was it? He said $1,100. And I wrote him the check and I said, I'll put it in the mail today. And he's like, what, you don't want me to pay you back? I said, you're my brother, I love you. I said, one day I might need some help. So, you know, he told his wife, his second wife, he's like, oh, she's just sending me the money. And so time went by and it turned around, I needed him. And he made a private call to me wanting the full amount back. He never subtracted the $1,100. And he said he wanted me to make payments. And my circumstances was at the time that, you know, when you're in need, you'll say anything. And, you know, I really tried to pay him back. But, you know, I had an alcoholic husband. So, needless to say, that kind of answers that. But after I got here and I ended up spending time with his soon-to-be second ex-wife, she told me that she asked him, oh, so did you just freely give it because Marcia freely gave it to you? And he said yes. So he told me 2 lies because he was still partying. And then he told his wife that he freely gave it. Meanwhile, it was the private call, which meant I was supposed to pay him back. And, you know, he tried to tell my cousins and stuff, my nephews, that I took money from him and never paid him back. And I was speaking to one of my nephews. I said, you know about money, right? He's like, yeah. I said, if you put money